What's going on, everybody? How we all doing this evening? Big day if you're in the Flightscope family. So I figured it would just be easier in doing this. We're going to just do this live because a lot of things, and I can show you some things as we're going through. So I want that as we go. So that's just something we will look at. Now, if you have any questions, please let me know. You need to just ask me questions, things like that. I do have the chat going, so just let me know. But yeah, so we will go from there as we are going through. All right, so I do have the chat up. Please ask these questions as you are going through, and we will go from there. Okay, so let me pull up my screen here as we go through this. Okay, so one of the big things that we are going to look at, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of doing this on the fly, as we go. Okay, so, one of the things that we're looking at as we're going through this is a lot of updates, a lot of big updates as we go. There's three main ones from the show, and we had kind of four things from the show that we were looking at. And so let's start going through what those all are. Okay, so first is you're going to have something that's called listener mode. Okay, listener mode is the ability for us, and I'm going to start up my Flightscope here, is the ability for us to have an operator, so essentially somebody that is controlling it, and then you can send that data. So let's say I have my phone, I could actually be a listener and get the same data. So you can send the same data to two different devices. So that's pretty cool. Environmental Optimizer EO, they added that. They also, I'll go over that in a sec. They added data margins. They also added, windowed mode. So you can actually get a window mode. Like right now, mine's on full screen, so you're not going to be able to kind of move around unless you use some of the keyboard shortcuts. But they did that. They also changed kind of the club analysis. So I'll go through that as we go. Ball tracer, stuff like that for the standard cameras. That's pretty good. And, again, just a couple of software things as you go through all this as well. So let's go ahead. Let's jump right in. We're going to get into the software. So I have a session here that we are looking at. Okay, so here's that session. And you'll see here, one of the things that I've noticed, hold on, we're going to see if we can get this one up again. You'll see that we have the club analysis part. So let me restart it here. But we have the club analysis part, what the old club analysis looked like from like previous years when I used to have like my X2s. And I actually kind of like that a little better as we go. So that was kind of nice. And, something that you would look at as you're going through sessions. So let me go ahead. I'm going to review. Let's see if we can get this to up here. There we go. Okay, so what you're seeing here is if I go into settings, when we go here, I'm going to go to settings, you go to session settings, and if I click other, you can see a bunch of different things, right? So I can get, club and ball trace, which is something that you'll see when you're using cameras. Again, this is not available when you're using the advanced radar camera, just an FYI. This is just going to be on your regular camera. You can kind of skip, roll, and all these things that they talk about, this is where they're going to be. You can highlight estimated spins. So if you're getting estimated spins, you get them in italics. So for those that are wondering if you're getting your spin red, you can do that. But here's the club analysis. I have it on next gen, but if I switch it to classic, which I actually like, you can see this is how it looks, and this is how it looked back in the day. So I like this, and you can kind of change some things, club path, face to path, stuff like that. Kind of work your way through. You can actually get these animations to play down here at the bottom. So I like it, a little bit of a cooler way to look at things as we go. Another big thing that they added, okay, another big add here is they added the ability to have multicam. So you can now actually have up to 5 cameras as you go. So here's a camera. This is one of my cameras that I use. This is a USB camera, so I've always had kind of 2 of them, and I don't know if I had this one turned on when I hit this shot, but you can actually turn those on. But now I can actually do a third camera. And so how do I do that? You have to use the multicam app. So I've got this here. So this is my screen as we're going through. So the first thing I have to do is connect to the Wi-Fi on the device. Okay, so here's my iPad. I've got it connected. Then what I'm going to do is open up multicam. And they really improved this, in my opinion, this whole connection process, because I used to have like kind of a lot of issues with it. And so now what will happen is if I go to settings and I go to video, it should populate it. So you can see here on the screen. Let me get back here to this. So if we go in, you can see face on. That's what I call this camera. So if I click it and turn it on, now you can see I have this iPad. As I move it around, the camera is going to move. Okay. And that's all you need to do. It's a lot simpler. We don't have to do the, I haven't had to. I did this on my iPad as well when I did it through the FS Golf app. I didn't have to scan the QR codes or anything. As long as you're connected, it works. Okay, so it's a lot simpler to go through that. Then if I hit shots, so again, as I have that now, that should be it. You can see actually, I don't have the live view going. But if I were to hit a shot, this is a shot I hit using this, you would actually get that camera. So I just set it on the ground, didn't have it all set up. We have up to 5 cameras, 3 of those being a multicam use. So that's pretty cool as you go through it as well. So again, another little thing that they've added. Some of you might just say, hey, I don't have that. But for me, as a coach, I have 2 cameras. I would go face on down the line, but now I could technically add in a third camera, which, you know, what I do is I would use those for like a rear view, something like that as we go. Okay, so those are kind of some of those. Again, just kind of some simple things as you go through. Now, this is a session review. This is not a live session, so you can see what you're doing. They did add the face impact. You see I hit this one terribly. They did add face impact to the data tiles. This was something that was on the iOS app. It's now on the PC app. Or on the FS Golf app, I should say. And then now it's on PC. So again, now I can actually have this data here. I don't have to jump over to the impact location screen to see it. So I would always have to make like a tile. Hey, these are there. But you know, now if I wanted to, I could actually have different views and all that, and then I'm not wasting a spot necessarily on that impact if you don't want to. You get a little bit more data if you have a big tile, you know, use one of your 4 screens here, but that's something you can do. So that's a really cool thing as you go through it. And again, let's pull back up our list as we go through. Some text to speech stuff, they have done that. And then you can actually, we did the cameras. There's a chipping detection mode and play mode. And they did add data margins. That's something that used to only be on FS Golf, but they did add that to the PC app. So you can actually have, that's where it highlights, you know, green, red. You can kind of set some parameters so you can easily see if you're hitting goals. I do that a lot in lessons as I go. So I do that to just make it easier. Hey, did you hit your goal or not? So that is something you can do as you go through. All right, so those are those. I want to kind of go through the small stuff first because we'll get into the rest as you go. You got some local data stuff that we could do. There's a video pop out, which is actually, I haven't tried that yet, but that looks pretty cool. You can actually pop the video out, make that kind of a separate thing. One other really, really cool thing that they added is actually a live video mode. So if you're using your USB cameras, you actually can get live video feed. So what that does is, and you could draw lines on it and stuff. So this is something TrackMan had that I was really, really hoping. This is one of basically the 2 things that I felt like Flightscope was missing. So it's just, now I can actually put like a monitor on the ground and people can rehearse stuff, then hit a shot, you know, with the video, see the data, it plays back automatically. They added some new video controls that you can use. They made it a lot easier on the golf app as well, on the iOS app. So that's really cool as you go through. But those are some of the things that you're seeing as you go through this. So I'll try to pull up some of the stuff I did today because I was using this quite a bit, just hitting some shots. But I was trying to kind of mess with it, see if I could make it kind of get messed up as you go. But we will see. We'll see as we go here. Okay, so let me pull up a different session. Let's see if I have it here. Okay, so one thing that you can do also on the iOS app, you can have multiple cameras. You can have 2 from the multicam. You can have then the radar cam, so you can actually do a bunch of cameras now. I think it's only 2 from the multicam though, as you do that, as you go through. Okay, so just keep that in mind as you go. Let's see here. Yeah, this is my session from today. So let's take a look. I'll try to show this on the camera. Actually, let's see if I can get this on. Let's get this up on the screen. Let's see if it'll work here for us. Okay, so let me pull up the iPad. Okay, so you can see here as I go through 3 cameras. I got the one on the radar, and I've got 2 multicams going, my 2 iPads. Now you can actually get the tracer. So let's say I wanted to have the advanced fusion camera where I'm going to see like super up close with the ball flight. I can actually use the tracer with the iPad. It's a little tricky to set up. I'm going to go through that in detail, but that's something you can actually look at, see the ball flying. Now, I do have to mess with it because the calibration process was a little wonky for me. I do like they still have their lesson stuff that you can do. That's the other thing I wish they had on the PC app, is if they could just have the ability to record lessons. That's kind of the one thing they're missing. That would be just awesome and just make it pretty much a complete package. So maybe it's going to come up later, but you could see how the ball doesn't start in the spot. That was all in my calibration. I kind of was trying to figure it out. I didn't have a ton of time, so I definitely have to spend a little more time. But super cool to see as you go through, and you have all your videos. You can go to this. One thing I like is their camera setup is a lot easier too. So you can go here, you can kind of see advanced cameras. There's another option if you're in a live session. This is a review from earlier, but you can go through all that, and yeah, you can kind of jump around as you go. So let's get into the big stuff. I think that was it for kind of the smaller stuff as we go. So yeah, let me just double check. Yeah, there's some range stuff. You can add a trajectory starting point. There's just some kind of software things as we go. So all right, so let's get into the big stuff here that everybody was really excited about, including me. And so first one is going to be when we get into the app. Okay, so I'm on the app here. What you're going to see is when I go into, and I'm hitting, hopefully you can see my mouse, but I'm hitting the 4 corners here, the 4 boxes. As I go through this, what you can see is we do have trajectory optimizer. Okay, trajectory optimizer. So if I'm hitting a shot, okay, so you can see all the shots I've hit as we're going through here. Okay, right? So I've got these, and what you can do is you can see these sliders. All right, let me see if I can move me out of the way here a little bit. Okay, so you can see the sliders here. So what I can do is actually move these around. It's going to give you goals. So like my launch was optimal because I hit the target, but I actually missed my smash. I didn't hit it good, or whatever reason, I just didn't hit a good shot. Now, the other thing you got to pay attention to is you see on the left-hand side here, I do have 2 shots selected. I think that was something I found was mattering. Make sure you don't do that, because then it's going to start messing. Or if you wanted to just put a whole session in, you could just start kind of seeing what you average. But you can go shot by shot, and it'll take that particular shot, or you could pick a bunch of shots. And then the thing that's cool is you can actually maneuver some of these things and start learning what would happen to your ball flight if these things were adjusted. So that's cool, because that's important. For me, that's a really important thing. As a coach, I like to tell people, hey, this is what is going on as we're doing this. Now, the one thing you're seeing that the face impact is not on here, because I did have that part off. I turned it off because I was doing the camera. So I'd have to turn that back on for that face impact to show up. So just keep that in mind. That's why that's why the multicam is cool, and it's cool that they give you the trajectories on the multicam as you go. Now, one thing I like about not having the trajectory on, I love this little swing arc, the red line on the left side here. I love that for showing how the ball is going to fly and things like that. So I think that's really important as you go through this, just to kind of see some stuff. And yeah, you can watch the shot all the way through. It hits the dome eventually, so it then just projects the rest of the flight as you go. So that is one thing. I always do this on accident. I change the impact point all the time. But there we go. So that's that, and that's how the trajectory optimizer works. Okay, so again, you can do that. We use it all the time in fitting. I use it in teaching too, especially when people will say like, "Hey, I'm hitting it short," or they're wondering why they're not hitting the ball, how far they should. You can show them, "Hey, if you got this number down," and then we can show them how to do it, obviously. But when fitting, it's just, "Hey, what can we do with the club?" In teaching, it's what can we do with the swing, right? So I show people that one a lot as you go. And again, so as we do this, let me know if you have any questions. I think we disconnected for a second, but we're back. As we do this, you'll see this is kind of like the optimized numbers as you go. And so what is that based on? You could see based on trajectory, I'm at 0 feet. I'm kind of just normalized to everything. And then if I were to kind of EO everything, it would kind of, if I got everything kind of normalized based on whatever I'm doing, based on trajectory, basically environmental factors, I'm going to get this number, right? But if I click on it more, I can actually, do more as you go. So as you go through, you actually could see some of these things as we go, right? So you have a couple different things. Again, I'm going to go through all of this in a more detailed fashion, but I can pick a bunch of options. I can go custom, just set stuff. What happens if I play at this temperature? What happens if I play at this? I can actually base it on location, which set it to when I played out in Myrtle Beach. I actually did this last week. So I looked it up. You actually have to look up the longitude and latitude of the location, but you put it in and then it knows, and it will pull up all the data about it. This is going to go into this little trip planner thing that they have as you're going through. And then this is actually really cool. You can actually set the landing height. So if it's 30 feet up, I can actually adjust that. And if I go back, it should adjust my numbers. You can see how before it was saying, based on just kind of like normal numbers, based on how I swung it, based on everything without the environment, it was actually hitting a lot farther. But now that I was in Myrtle Beach and I'm hitting uphill 30 feet, it actually, you see these numbers dropped, right? The bottom numbers. So again, you can kind of look and see how everything's working, but it's really, really cool as you go through. So something, again, I need to mess with a little bit more, and I will do a whole video on how you can use it. But kind of cool. You can see like shot type, it turned from a hook into a draw as you went through. So you can see that curve changed a little bit less. It doesn't fly as high, obviously, as we're going up and all that. But again, really, really cool stuff as we go through. So that's the environmental optimizer. You have normalized. If you're familiar with TrackMan, they have normalized, and X3 has that as well. You can normalize data. You can do it based on D-plane. So this is essentially just based on the shot, based on the data, just straight data, what that ball should have done. Okay, so it's completely taking out the environment. Okay, it's completely taking out the environment. If I was hitting this, so this would be, for example, if I'm hitting 30 feet uphill, that's it. Let's just take that out. No, temperature, no environment, all that, right? So that's another cool feature. So if you're just looking for straight numbers, hey, what is the ball doing? That's something that you would want to check out as you go. Okay, so again, I will do a full video on all this so you are aware of what is going on. Okay, so kind of the three big things: getting that shot tracer on the video, okay, from the multicam, right? So this top right video. Getting more cameras, that's cool too. Again, I got to work on. I'm going to try to work on how to calibrate it a little better. But this was just kind of a first run through at it. It's a little bit different when you do it. I really like this view on the left. That's a good view to have. Again, I love that little red arc as we go through it. And then, let's see, who's got a question? let's see. What do you think about Mevo Plus versus GC3? So I've hit with both. I hit with both at the same time. Here's all I'll say. Here's my thing about all this. Like, I don't like to do the whole, like, what's better, what's not, because it depends on your situation. It depends on your environment. If you don't have a lot of space, then a GC3 is a great option. Skytrack, great option. I will say GC3 gave me some weird numbers. That's what I'll say, right? Like, it gave me weird numbers. Seeing ball flight, I hit with it in this dome, right? This is the dome I work at. I got weird numbers. That's all I could say as we go. So, like, and it's not crazy, but like a ball would draw. And so I had TrackMan, Mevo Plus. This is TrackMan 4, Mevo Plus, GC3. TrackMan Mevo Plus, which sees the ball flight up until it hits the end of the dome, would say a little bit drawing, which the ball then did. I would see it. GC3 would say a little bit fading. Now that could be alignment. I do find it hard to align the side-on units, even with the alignment rod. Like, I don't trust myself to look out there and get this alignment rod like pointed exactly. We're talking like degrees here. So that was my thought. We've also just had a lot of issues at the course with them, I will say, and it's hard to get support. So that's it. We have 2 of them, and they do not get used. They sit in a closet because kind of nobody wants to deal with them. So that's kind of what I feel with them. But that's just something to think about. We're going to be going away from them. So the other thing is, as we're going through, again, the multicam on the video, the thing I like too, EO, that's huge. And then that trajectory optimizer, again, along with some of these little other tweaks that make a big difference. That live video one is huge to me. I love that. That was kind of one of the 2 things I was like, man, I really wish it had this on the software. Now, again, that's on PC. If you do multicam on the app, you already have live video. I would do that a lot, actually. Again, and I have a TV that I think you can see it. Actually, you can't see it on the screen here, but just to the right, you can see my iPad over here. Just to the right of it, there's a TV. And so I would put it up there. People like rehearse their swing, look at the TV, see what's going on, and then they swing. Now you can do that from the PC. That's actually big because now I can actually just hook up my PC instead of trying to do all the adapters for the iPad app. That actually is pretty cool. So, yeah. If you have questions, you can comment them down below. But didn't want to do this for too long. Although, yeah, it's been 25 minutes already, so I guess we're really going. But yeah, again, kind of fun day. Always fun when you get new updates and see these things coming. You also will see, if we go to those settings, that is coming, Badger AI. So that's coming soon. That's new on there. So we will see, and you can see kind of what that looks like. I am interested to see how that works and go from there. So we will have to see. But yeah, if you have questions about it, leave those comments. And again, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. I'll be going through all of these, how to use them, but I just kind of wanted to give a run through so you kind of see how they work and you can start trying stuff out for yourself, because that's how we all get better with this stuff as you go. So a couple other settings too. They like radar, if you're plugged in, should it sleep, should it not, all that. So that's really good. But yeah, that's it. And again, here's that operator listener, that code that you can use to connect. So if you have questions, let me know. But yeah, we'll be going more through it. All right. Everybody have a great rest of the evening, and we will talk to you soon.